Good evening, everyone. Today is June the 21st, 2022. This is week 3 of our summer 1 course, Topics in Entrepreneurship. And I want to welcome you all to this week's class. This is the first class I actually have consistent internet or Wi-Fi, so that there shouldn't be interruptions. I'm excited to see some familiar faces, and I want to thank you all for your patience that you all have had these last couple of weeks. How are you all doing today? Type it in the chat box or unmute yourselves and let me know how you're feeling. See, all right. Thanks, Keisha. All is well. Appreciate you. All right, good deal. Good. All right. Well, things are good. We have an exciting, I'm excited for our class today. We are going to hear from the president of the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Harris Blair, as he is going to discuss our topic today, which is actually module 6 in your textbook, and that's problem solving from an entrepreneurial lens. And so let's get started on our presentation. Can you all see the presentation?
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Okay, good deal. All right, well, this week, the first couple of weeks, you read on the entrepreneurial mindset. You were discussing the different types of entrepreneurship, types of entrepreneurs, and especially in your quizzes and things of that nature. There were different types of business owners, entrepreneurs, like bootstrappers, who utilize their resources and their network's resources to kind of bank on themselves to build businesses. And then last week, you discussed more, or you read more on the types of businesses, the business formations and things of that nature, and the legal ramifications of business. And so this week, I want us to discuss problem solving to find entrepreneurial solutions. And instead of just reading from module 6 or having a presentation from there, I have a nonprofit leader whose advocacy work is to build these solutions for entrepreneurs here. And he's going to talk to you about the Black Chamber of Commerce. He's going to discuss a program that he created in partnership with UNT Dallas, and then how he is using that to build the network larger. And he would want to hear from you to ask any questions about the organization or how his program can be better. Does that sound good, Mr. Blair? Good deal. All right. Let's move to the next slide. So our agenda has a few housekeeping items that we'd like to discuss, and then we'll go straight into our lecture and then our Q&A discussion. Of course, my expectations are always for the students to ask questions. Please, if you have questions during the presentation, please type them in the chat box and we'll address them. I check it regularly so that we can ensure a holistic experience. I would like you to think critically, build on your existing ideas, be open to criticism, but most important, have fun. This is summer 1. This is Topics in Entrepreneurship. Like I am truly here to help you broaden a knowledge base on opportunities out here. And it's hot outside. It's over 100 degrees outside. Ain't nobody got time for all this stress. So let's have fun. All right, housekeeping. We're halfway through the semester. This is a 5-week course. I want to just remind you all that most of your grades are your weekly quizzes. It's important for you all to promptly submit your quizzes. If you have a late If you if you have a late submission, that is 10 points off of your quiz grade, which can be significant to your final grade as you are attaining to reach 1,000 points. And you can do that through the 4 or 5 quizzes and then the final exam. So just be cognizant that you're halfway through the semester. Some updates in Canvas. I've graded your quizzes from week 1. I need to grade your quizzes from week 2. I unfortunately have not gotten to people's specific messages. I know a couple of you have sent me messages. My goal was to do that this week, and I haven't done that yet. I will get to that as soon as possible. And that also leads me to the week 2 video in the entrepreneurial interview. In terms
his lectures only last about
in terms of stating the video from week 2 and entrepreneur Miss Shalon Clark Thomas. I am still in the process of editing that video, and will release that because I think it's very important to hear her interview and to hear the overall lesson from week 2 to prepare for your final exam. All right. Let's see. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns before we go to our lesson of the day? All right. Let's go to the next. All right. So today, I want to set the stage for our speaker. Today, we're discussing entrepreneurial problem solving. Entrepreneurs constantly, each day, each cycle, whether it is a quarter, whether it's an annual cycle, we as entrepreneurs always face different problems that must be solved, whether it's as minute as who's going to clean the bathrooms constantly at our buildings or facilities, to catastrophic actions that can lead to catastrophic results, and trying to navigate around that, whether it's financial, operational, or just involving human capital and logistics. You have to solve problems at all times. And so today, I want to discuss what actually entrepreneurial problem solving is. And it is the process of using innovation and creative solutions to close the gap, by resolving societal, business, and technological problems, right? I want to just introduce this concept into this space today, because we're going to hear from someone who is solving problems for entrepreneurs in the city of Dallas. But 2 models I want you to think of while you're hearing this discussion is the adaptive model to entrepreneurial problem solving. And that is the more traditional form of, well, not, I shouldn't say more traditional form, but this is a more scientific form where it seeks solutions for problems in ways that are tested and known to be effective. And so the adaptive model is essentially creating tests of past experiences using quantitative data so that you can decide what your next steps should be. The other model that is known in the entrepreneurial problem solving space is the innovative model, which uses techniques that are unknown to the market and that bring advantages to an organization. This is typically the space that entrepreneurs live in. It is not as absolute scientifically. It's a more of a abstract science or inexact science. But when entrepreneurs or advocates of entrepreneurs are creating innovative systems, innovative programming, there's a risk, there's a chance that it may not succeed, or there's a chance that it can cause an effect that will create systems for it to be perpetuated in perpetuity. And so these problem solving models are very different. One, again, is a more scientific approach, learning from your past so that you can then create a theory to create future steps, or an innovative model in which you are kind of doing the same thing in the non-scientific manner, but you're seeking new techniques that's unknown to the market. There's no previous data about it, and you're bringing that advantage to an organization. And so now I would like to welcome our guest speaker, who is Mr. Harrison Blair. Mr. Harrison Blair is a native Dallasite, and I'm going to, well, I'll keep, let me do this again. Because I want to focus and pin you. Okay. So Harrison Blair, sorry, I would like to introduce you all to our speaker, Mr. Harrison Blair. Mr. Harrison Blair is president of the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce. He is a native Dallasite. He has family roots here, multiple generations. He is an HBCU graduate, graduate of Prairie View A&M University, and he received his graduate degree in some policy work, political science at Texas State University. But he is also a nonprofit leader. For 3 years, he served as president of the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce, one of the oldest Black chambers of commerce in the nation, serving over 94 years of service, founding in 1926. He is one of the youngest presidents in the recorded history of the chamber, and he's providing these innovative ways of creating programs and advocacy for Black businesses to the marketplace in Dallas. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you all to Mr. Harrison Blair.
Hey, Professor Houston, thank you so much for that introduction. Your check is in the mail. We'll make sure it gets to you. And Mr. Houston, before I get started, sir, I want to make sure I have the ability to share my screen so everybody can see my presentation.
Let me make you a co-host. Give me 2 seconds.
Thank you, sir.
One thing I forgot to do. There's always one thing that doesn't happen, and now my second screen is acting up on me. So I have to be like an entrepreneur and adapt without freaking out. Give me 30 seconds, Mr. Blair.
That's perfect. And Professor Houston, while you're doing that, I guess I'll just go around the room. I'm an interaction and engagement guy. So a few notes. If you have any questions, I'm a fast talker. Let me just get that out there right now. So if I'm going too fast and you want to know more about something, if it's interesting to you, just grab me virtually by the lapels, slap me around and slow me down, and ask any questions you want. I am an open book because much like you are entrepreneurs who are growing and learning, that is kind of the same space that I'm in. And I would argue any person who's in business, who's growing and doing well, is going to be somewhere in this space. So, without going too deep into that, let me pull up this presentation that I have, because I think the first thing that's important is you should probably know, what does a Chamber of Commerce do? And what does our Chamber of Commerce do specific to that work? And I'll start by saying the most important thing on this slide is data, advocacy, and economic development. And under my administration, starting here at the Chamber, we wanted to start thinking about how important data is to all the decisions that we make. And I thumbed through the book and I saw that one of the core tenets of problem solving is analyzing data. So we are no different as a business organization or a nonprofit that serves business organizations and nonprofits. So under our New Day initiative, data, advocacy, and economic development help point us to the kind of projects that will have a cascading impact over the North Texas region. Our mission has been simple since 1926, and it's roughly been about the same. We exist as advocates for the creation, the growth, and promoting the general welfare of Black-owned organizations. And we actually added organizations after a lot of hand wrangling, because we grew 38% alone last year just with nonprofits. somebody told them that we were a nonprofit and they were a nonprofit, and maybe we could help them with some nonprofit things. So we've been working with nonprofits over the last few years, really advising them, talking about issues that may arise, and trying to help them kind of untangle some of these problems. And then from there, how do we actually serve? We take all of these metrics that you may see from the 20th century, and we try to give them a very innovative tilt so that they are useful in today's society. Things like technical assistance, which could mean a lot of different things. For us, really means taking as much time as a business may need when they come through the door with a really difficult issue that they're trying to untangle. It may take us 2 days, it may take us 2 hours, it could take us 2 months. And in some cases with certain businesses, for the type of industry they're in and their turnaround, it could take years. So our technical assistance really looks quite different. And what makes us unique as a chamber is the way we partner with our members. A lot of chambers will partner with large corporations, but they'll give services to their members. Here, we know that most of the important information that people need to know is actually not on the stage, it's in the audience. So that's no different. This is our board leadership. Jimmy Gaston, who is the CEO of Premier 360, was at one point the largest Black-owned manufacturer of spirits in the country. We actually got the opportunity to hear him speak at the Congressional Black Caucus. So that's how we met him. And now he's a techpreneur because he's bought into a tech firm and he sold most of his holdings there. So if you see him out and about, he won't be in a blazer. He'll usually be in like jeans, a backpack, and some tennis shoes, looking real cool, like he's about to sell another firm. Judge Shaquita Kelly is in criminal court number 11. And outside of being a judge, she also is an entrepreneur. She has a hair care product that is for 4C Natural. So, she keeps me and my wife's hair looking great while we sleep. So we use her product. And as you can see, many of our board members are listed here. And Matt, I can share this with the class after this presentation so they can thumb through it and take a look. If you have any additional questions, click any of the links that you may see. And then, of course, this is a picture of me probably stressing out at an event, but it looked good enough to talk about how we are focusing our efforts under the New Day initiative. And moving into Tomorrow Stronger really talks about how we accentuate partnerships and how we really work with members and treat them as partners. And a good example of how we do that is that we had a golf tournament yesterday called the Juneteenth Golf Classic that the chamber does not actually host, but we are a benefiting sponsor. We had 2 members come to us and ask us if we were going to do a golf tournament last year in particular, and we said no. And they said, well, would you mind helping us create a golf tournament as a business model for a firm that we want to start? They started with 8 friends golfing on Juneteenth, and last year we got them to 80 golfers. And yesterday they were well over 100 plus golfers, and they even had so much participation that they had to rent the entire course and not just take the tee times that were available. So that's a bit of the breadth of how we partner with members. And then here on monthly member engagement, we have about 4 monthly member engagements that we host, rain, sleet, or pandemic. And you may ask, well, Harrison, what's the data behind these 4 different events rather? And for us, the Congressional Black Caucus released reports over the last 3 years that stipulated that Black businesses fail on average more than their counterparts because they don't have access to a mentor or a friend or a partner that can help them. And if you're from Dallas or you are just familiar with Dallas after having lived here for a while, you probably run into Williams Chicken. Mr. Hiawatha Williams is a great entrepreneur and a great franchiser here in the region. And even he ran into the issue of not having a friend in the industry and not knowing how to grow his grocery store. He tried to go into a line of grocery stores and he put $2 million into that investment and it didn't work. And he said, I just didn't know how to run supply chain for a grocery store, but I understood it for a franchise. And that was a fatal mistake for that business. So that was just something that really made the statistics very real to us. So we tried to create some targeted marketing and network opportunities for businesses so that they could get themselves out there. And these 3 that you see here, I'll start with those. The Power Breakfast is a fast-paced networker that happens the second Tuesday, or now the second Wednesday of every month. And with this, from 7 to 9, we have usually anywhere from 50 to 70 entrepreneurs, leaders, and entrepreneurs who work at other firms come to share what they do, to network, and to come get a free cup of coffee on the chamber. And this is so cool because the best feature of this event is not the 15-minute fireside chat with Chase or the opportunity to even work with some of the corporate partners that we have. The best opportunities from this event are listening to all the different professionals who people would swear up and down do not exist in this city. Like a Black woman electrician who's fully licensed and certified, or a journeyman who can, really take care of you that way, or a tax attorney who can represent you in federal court. They're all in the same place at 6:45 waiting to get into this event. And we have a bell that we ring when people go over their 30-second pitch, because we have usually so many folks who want to speak. But not only that, we've had people stop us on the street and tell us, I'm glad you did that because it got me ready for the big pitch that I would make later. I was able to give it to them in 30 seconds and do it in such a way that they wanted to ask more information about my business or about my nonprofit. So that's a really cool event for people who need to be back and they're, at their desk or at their office at 9 o'clock. New member orientation looks a lot like what we're doing now, except we spent a lot more time talking about the Chamber's 96-year history and what we spent a lot of time putting policy ideas and work behind. So it's a really cool thing. And really for us, not only do we encourage members to join the Chamber so that we can help their business, we encourage them to join so that they can also get resources that may help other businesses. Because a lot of times when we say we really do find the best experts in the audience, it's really people and leaders like yourselves who we're talking to who know something that we didn't know, or know something that we know members need to know that you have an expertise in. So we create space for people to share that. We create a platform for that to be shared. And then happy hour is self-explanatory. Matt, I hope I don't run into any trouble for talking about liquor on the call, but we typically have a lot of liquor and some great food that people can eat, because you don't want to have people eating and not drinking and not eating. We got to send them out of there safely. But at this event, we have about 5 minutes worth of programming because people want to eat, they want to drink, and they want to meet one another. And at this particular event, we had a young lady who was doing $250,000 in revenue with a face cream that her and her mom created. And they were looking to grow, and they were shipping their face cream to 5 different countries. And then we had a Black woman who owned a cosmetic line in Frisco that was worth about $10 million in revenue. And she was looking for her next growth opportunity. And she didn't know how she was going to break into some international markets. I hope you see where we're going here. We got them to the table and we got them to start talking to one another. We brought some specialized assistants with, through attorneys, CPAs, business brokers, and they partnered. And now they're a $45 million firm doing business in 5 countries, and they're about to expand their footprint. That's the power of targeted networking. And that's the power of having people who maybe, have something that complements each other. And there have been businesses that haven't merged, but they are partnered now, and they do a lot of work together, and they're seeing their revenue rise. So that's great. And then one of the 4th events on here that you don't see because it's really rather new, we need to add it in, is our volunteer corps. The Chamber goes out to parks and areas of the city that need some extra TLC, some extra tender loving care. And we ask the city for a list of places that get cleaned, 5 to 7 days a week, but they're still in great disrepair. And one of those is Blair Park. So we've adopted this park in South Dallas off 175, and we go out and we go into that community and we start picking up trash. And we've done this now for 6 months. And when we got out there, people would ask us all of these questions around, why is this park so dirty? Why don't these people keep it clean? And then they started to ask even better questions the deeper we got in, like, why don't they have a lot of trash cans out here? Because now we've been cleaning up for 6 months. And somebody finally asked me a couple of weeks ago, there's so much trash, why don't they just put more trash cans out here? And that person was a leader within the company Encore. And I said, well, no. She said, well, what if we donate it to the city to give more trash cans here? And that's when the light bulb went off for them. We already knew that if we bring people to some of these beautiful communities where Black and brown people live, and we showcase to them how beautiful these communities are, and if we ourselves go in and we showcase who we are, and that we're not trying to tell people what to do, we're not trying to put signs in and call code out, we are just there to say, everything great about Dallas, you should also feel it here. And we love you. We love your city. We love this part of the city. So people start to come to us from the community and clean up with us. And they're excited that they'll be getting some new trash cans at this particular park. So we're going to replicate this economic development volunteer activity at different places around the city in the next few months. So I also leave some information for Professor Houston to invite all of you if you'd like to come and participate in the cleanup, because volunteering is not only fun, it's actually good for you. So special programs that we host at the Chamber that are pretty important. The Dallas Speaker Series is an opportunity through a podcast for us to talk to some of the businesses that we've worked with, all of whom are not Black. So a lot of them want excellent service. They want some of the most innovative tools in the city. So they come to the Black Chamber. And for us, this podcast really covers some of the Black, Latinx, and Indigenous experiences throughout the North Texas region. Entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, and community folk who are really changing the city for better and making it a more inhabitable place for all residents who live here. And we want to hear from people who are doing that kind of work. And if that's you, don't be shy. Let me come be on our podcast and let people in Dallas learn from what you're doing. And there's so much information that each of you probably is holding on to. And there's probably, if I asked each of you, what could you do a presentation on for an hour? If I called you out on the spot, I know everybody knows something that you have an expert level expertise in. So this is no different. And this podcast is going to kick off in August, and it'll come out every fourth Tuesday beyond that point. Very excited about it and the opportunities it's going to create. The Black Business Boot Camp is a program that really speaks to the creation part of our mission. We say we help people who are startups who may have a really great idea, but they didn't have any capital to go with it, and they need some business knowledge and some tools. This is the program for them. And the donors gave to this boot camp through Comerica made us promise that this would always be free. So we try to keep free sessions like this accessible so that people can get them. And this covers everything from the business canvas model. Some of the stuff I saw in this coursework that y'all are working on, people have covered in this course before. And just as an example, when we put these boot camps together, how we organizing them, we had in March of last year, during Women's History Month, Black women CEOs talking about everything in finances, from tax accounting to tax attorneys who can represent you at federal level. And that's how we found some of these experts, through our power breakfast or through volunteer events with CEO asked them to come and be a part. So just a lot of great work there. And as you can see here at the bottom of the screen, people actually registered for this and they came back session over session. And I never broke a Zoom room before, but if you don't have all the controls on it to get all the people in and they're trying to talk and do stuff, it really is quite a great problem to have. And then, of course, the big cousin to the Black Business Boot Camp is the Business Leadership School, AKA Business Leadership Program. And this is the program that Mr. Houston was talking about that was developed in coordination with UNT Dallas, because the professors who were a part of this all came from the business school at UNT Dallas, and Professor Houston brought them. We've even actually hosted this program all of last year at UNT Dallas in Founders Hall. We like the little, sorry about that, y'all. And just so you know, I have a furry friend here with me. So if the computer moves, if you see me moving my hand, this is Carter, and he's sick right now. So he's sitting with Daddy, so he didn't eat anything else he's not supposed to eat. But this curriculum is really for business owners who are really focused on taking their business to the next level. It's for people who've been in business for at least 2 to 3 years. They have at least $250,000 in revenue, up to $5 million, and they want to grow a small team to be larger. And we've set those metrics that way because the goal of this program is to create more revenue and to create more jobs. But we don't just give people core curriculum that they can go home with. We take them on tours. We talk about history. We go, we've sat in cool places. We've done historic tours with other organizations, Professor Houston has led some tours. I've led some tours. We take people to go volunteer at some of our volunteer events. And we give these leaders an opportunity to speak directly to the program and what they want to see and how they want to grow. So what they end up coming from the program with is a well-roundedness of the history of Dallas, the culture of Dallas, and business practices that can really take them to the next level in this market. So it's a really cool program, and it's also a lot of fun because of the cohort members. And we'll put a pin in this because we're going to come back to this in a different presentation. Because as we talk about problem solving and some of the tools and metrics of problem solving, that program is literally a creation of problem solving. And then as we look through some legacy events that the Chamber also hosts, the Executive Business Summit, I believe, created by Professor Houston when he was the chairman of the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce. And this summit has been used over the years as either that can tell us more about what we see on the horizons or major issues that really plague the region that we want to work with small businesses and nonprofits to figure out. So as we move through that and think about what these pictures mean and what this summit is used for. In 2019, we invited Arlen Hamilton right here, who is a Black tech investor who invests in underrepresented founders, to come and speak, because we didn't really know a lot about tech in 2019, but we did know Dallas was doing $64 billion in tech infrastructure, and we had over 300,000 tech employees here. And somehow Austin gets called Silicon Valley of the South. But when we brought Arlen, we didn't know how many startups were in the Black community. We hoped we'd get at least maybe 5 of them to come and showcase their goods at our event. But in the process of doing so and putting it out that Arlen was coming, we got 300 plus Black tech startups, and we didn't have enough space for all of them. So some of them just had to buy a ticket and come in and hang with us. But it turned into a great event that really took us to a new height. And when you talk about innovation and problem solving, this event already existed. But this lady back here, her name is Michelle Williams. She's now the executive director of a group called FinTech in Action. She came to us with the program's layout. So instead of having one main speaker so that people wouldn't fall asleep, we decided to have 5 speakers break down 10 minutes each over an hour. And then we had an intern who worked with us in high school. She said we should have some kind of food items there so people can, take a break and network, because people never get to talk at these events. And then another intern who was on his way to college said, well, we should also have like a touch and see. We want to actually play with some tech things during a time of the event at some point. And then we can have our main speaker. These features made the event that was about 4 hours feel like an hour because it flowed so quickly. People had time to network. They had food, little bites they could taste while they tried out products of Black tech startups. And it turned out to be a huge event for us. And it helped us solve one of our most pressing issues once the pandemic really got underway. And that was, we had to figure out how to help thousands of businesses get access to money from Congress, where Black businesses typically don't have relationships with banks. They may have a bank, but they don't always have a banker. So we were trying to figure out how people would move past not having a relationship and access these funds, which is basically given based on relationship and trust. We had a member who met us at this event in 2019 and thought we were very tech friendly, very tech savvy. Now, remember I told you we didn't have any tech experience. We didn't know much, just the data. And he came to us because he felt like he could work with our chamber. He had invented an app that could help businesses quickly take the process to apply for money from Congress from 3 hours to about 30 minutes. So if you didn't have quarterly filings, the app would parse the information from a few answers that you may give it and create those filings for you, or create documentation you may need, or give you a straight shooting answer to let you know if you were getting paid or not. So it was just a really cool app. And after the dust settled, we helped 300 plus businesses get access to about $5 million. And that happened in about an hour. So that's the speed at which this technology allowed us to really move. And we met that leader who brought that app to us at this event a year prior to. So that was a huge problem solver and a huge time saver, because we were trying to get an army of MBAs and CPAs to come and help businesses figure out how we were going to take charge of the opportunity. This program is called the Quest for Success. process and a part of the chamber since 1985. And this is a very special program because Professor Houston's dad actually created this program when he was our president. And Thomas L. Houston, his name is on a lot of the different programs and awards that we give out because in 1985, he took us from being the oldest Black chamber in the nation to one of the largest and most innovative chambers for his time. And this event was kind of like a crowning jewel, of an achievement for his administration because back then it was very difficult for Black and brown businesses to get recognition on the major media airwaves if they were doing great in the community, whether they were just doing great in business or whether they were giving back. And Mr. Houston knew that we had to find some way to start talking about these businesses or they'd be forgotten and they would not grow the way they should have. So he created this platform. So for any business who's doing great and has been awarded the Quest, you're going to get all the media coverage that a small business can take on the local scale with WFAA, Dallas Morning News. And these awards predate the Dallas Business Journal, the DCEO. So a lot of the awards even look the same to this award, which has been virtually the same since 1985. And I actually keep one of the Quest Awards here behind me in a display just to remember how far this award has come. So it's a nice little octagon. It kind of looks like a Q for Quest. And in the process of that, if you win this award, you typically see a bump in revenue of about 15% over a 4-year period because people find out about your business through the major media airwaves. And then they keep using your business because they try you out and they realize, oh man, this isn't just a Black business I'm doing a favor to or a brown business I'm trying to hook up, but this is actually one of the best in class businesses. And I'm glad I get the opportunity to work with them because they're changing my life. And this year on May 10th, we had singer, songwriter, and actress Maya come and serenade our winners. And each of them have now done their interviews with WFAA. So if you're watching Midday or Good Morning Texas, you may catch a few. And then finally, we have an award ceremony where we induct our new board, which you can see here. The board gets sworn in. And then from there, we also talk about what we're going to do in the coming year and how we're going to grow the chamber and, what our plans are. And we celebrate those things that we got right over the year. And each of these events is themed for our gala because we want people to have fun. If you're raising money, one thing I learned in the nonprofit world, if you're going to spend a lot of money to raise a lot of money, you better put on one hell of a show. So with this one, we had Kiki Wyatt come to sing the house down. And the theme was Met Gala. And this gentleman here is actually one of the cohort members who graduated from the Business Leadership Program. He's a nonprofit leader who runs a group called the Terrence Johnson Dance Corps. And he made this marketing because we said Met Gala and fam understood the assignment. So you never know, it could be you. If you come to the event and you're looking great, we're going to put you on the marketing. And this is our board. This is a portion of our board being sworn in. So this is this presentation. Any thoughts, questions, or ideas before we move on to the next one and just kind of roll through some problem solving metrics and ideas?
So, Mr. President, I have a question. One, great presentation. I want to revisit our theme, and the theme is problem solving as entrepreneurs. How, as president of an advocacy organization, how do you describe to regular citizens about the importance of providing solutions for entrepreneurs to better societies?
And it's literally probably the most important thing that we spend a lot of time focusing on. We solve problems for businesses and nonprofits for a living. And we help them think through some really knotty issues that they always don't have answers to or don't know where they can get resources around it. And in fact, I kind of got into this chamber has gotten this far because we learned to be very effective problem solvers. And Professor Houston, at the top of the pandemic, we had our faces in our hands, and we were trying not to cry. We thought the oldest Black institution of its kind may have to close its doors because all this programming we created was stipulated on us being able to come together. And at the moment, it seemed like all was lost. We had programs for tutoring. We had programs for helping students, catch up with some of the metrics that we saw slipping in the region, which caused a lot of corporations not to come here. And we had great tech ideas and solutions, but all of them hinged on being in person. So we had to completely pivot and shift everything we were doing so that we could start to see dollars flowing in. And we also had to figure out how we were going to keep our doors open because our members couldn't pay their dues, and it was making it stressful for us to pay all our bills. So we had to create some new models, some new methods, and we had to try some things that we hadn't tried before. When I told you about the app that we put on our website to help businesses get access to funding, the slowest part of that process was me. The guy who developed the app could plug it up in a day. But my deepest concern is my members are going to click on this and we're going to promise them that they can at least get some of the services and help they need. And it may not work. And it took me 2 weeks to really figure out and understand how this app was going to communicate across the country, what it would do, and how long it would take to implement. And in the end, it took him literally 20 minutes to put it on our website. And it took an hour for $5 million to move. So we had to problem solve by firstly understanding that I couldn't do it in a vacuum. One of the things that Professor Houston and I talked about quite a bit, or Matt, you and I talked about, was not trying to save the world alone, not trying to solve every problem in a silo, because I was literally missing a lot of good ideas. It's not that I didn't need to be innovative on my own and figure out some problem solving metrics, but it was really important to start working with a team of leaders and experts who could help figure out what we were going to do with the chamber. So it's absolutely critical to business. If you're not going to solve problems, then you don't want to be in business.
No, that's a great answer, and thank you for sharing that. And that's a great transition for what I would like you to discuss, I guess, for the last 15 minutes of our time. We are creating, or you are creating, the Dallas Black Chamber. The BLP program has an opportunity to impact more people. So please talk to us about scaling solutions to better society.
So true, and let me give a little bit more overview also, Mr. Houston, about the program itself.
Perfect.
This is a program that Matt helped to develop from top to bottom so that we could serve businesses. And this just gives a little bit about what people got from the course in terms of education. So leadership development, course curriculum. And of course, if you completed it, you get a nice certificate to put on your wall. Let people know that you are certified from the Black Chamber in these skills. And these are the pieces of curriculum that we really went through. And this curriculum was what we thought was absolutely most essential for businesses that are going through the pandemic. Now, there's a whole section in this presentation that talks about what we learned in year one and what we think we want to change. And one of the major areas that is critical for businesses that they're trying to problem solve for is HR, onboarding and offboarding. I know it sounds like a national thing, but the great resignation hit everybody hard. And most of the think pieces and information and data that came out on these were all for large businesses and corporations. But small businesses have been trying to figure this out. So we're going to beef up information around how you onboard effectively, how you do it quickly, and what it should look like, and how you offboard, because getting somebody out of the organization and off the bus who doesn't need to be there is just as difficult as getting somebody on and making sure that they're happy there. And these are just some of the experiences that we learned from some of our cohort members. And again, this is Terrence Johnson with TMJ Dance. He says he had the opportunity to share his experience as a nonprofit leader and to grow some of the donations he was asking for, because he was able to collaboratively work with some of his board members and tell better stories. Because people think that asking for money is, mostly, laying out a bunch of proposals and, scratch papering it up and pulling out a budget. And there are bids and, opportunities that come that way. But a lot of it is based on telling a really great story and having a really good relationship. And Terrence got that. Kim was able to grow her firm, her tax firm, because she now had what she felt like she needed to start hiring folks and really shifting her own company identity, so she wasn't doing everything, because she came to us with one problem, which was she couldn't seem to get more revenue in the door. And then I was able to show her with our staff and some of the professors that she was trying to do everything, and she was trying to solve all the problems in a silo. And so when she learned how to really start giving some things away, and that people on her team may actually do things better than she thought they could, or maybe even better than her business is now starting to grow. And then this is Abdullah El Bey, who owns several companies, as well as a nonprofit that's focused on mental health called El Serene Mental Health Charitable Organization. He came to us and sat in class and didn't say a word about being the chairman of the Greater Southwest Black Chamber of Commerce, which is a major partner of ours, which covers Cedar Hill, Duncanville, DeSoto, all those communities that are right outside of Dallas. This chamber really works with those folks. And if you know anything about where Black people may live in the region, a lot of them are in the Great Southwest area. So when we think about Black Wall Street of the future and all the Black wealth it's with Mr. Abdullah El Bey's territory, and a lot of with his organization. He sat there for the longest and didn't tell us he was the chairman of that organization, the newly minted chairman. So we were glad, and he talked to us about what he learned in the role and what he's learned in our cohort about preparing him to really lead his organization and be innovative in these perilous times. So we also learned about some assessments that we really wanted to figure out. And this is some of our own fundraising document that we use to pull in staff and really make these programs even tighter. But all of this was based on problem solving, because this was all a program that we had to build on the fly, and we had to figure out, what do businesses need right now? How can we serve them best? And what kind of programming will not only bring in dollars, but will actually be useful and doesn't already exist. So Matt was critical to making that happen.
Well, it was your vision. So thank you for allowing me as a board member to actually put in some work to benefit the community and the ecosystem that I advocate for. What are ways that you could scale that project to impact more businesses across the country or across the state?
Thank you, Mr. Houston. I know you asked me that, and I was like, what question did he ask me? The biggest thing right now is focusing on getting some additional staff to really work it, because the first year we did a lot of the logistics. We even taught some of the course, and we realized that we did a great job. Don't get me wrong; like it was a rocking course. People got a lot out of it, but we realized that we were stretching our own upper limits, and to scale, we had to get out of our own ways. So we've hired a program coordinator who's going to manage this program and grow it. And that program coordinator is also going to help us get staff in. And what I'm doing is now refocusing my efforts on fundraising so that we can scale this program. But most of it is needing more resources, because box lunches cost. Every time somebody eats, or every week that they come in to eat those box lunches and breakfast, that all costs. So that's the scalable cost that we've got to think through. If we want to take a tour, and we got to get a bus, and we got to pay a tour guide, and we've got to book times, those are costs. And the more people you have, you got to scale that up. But also, once you start dealing with different industries and you start dealing with different expert needs, then we've got to start going out to find better experts, and we've got to scale the program in a way that allows us to grow. With UNT Dallas as our core partner, but we can now add other elements and potentially work with professors who are not in Dallas, but who may have some skill sets that are connected to Dallas. And we can start to use that to as a metric to grow the program, as well as data, and then some new offerings. We found that a lot of businesses need hardware and software, and they needed a grant to really be a part of this program, because if we want to help them solve some of the issues that we're trying to untangle, some of that, and I'll say most of that, just takes money. It takes software costs money, hardware costs money, expert help costs money. So for us to scale, we've got to bring in more capital so that we can start to expand the program and take on more businesses. And as businesses scale, it's so critical, because for our economic development report card, a big feature of it is, did we create more jobs? Did we help create more jobs? Did we help businesses get more revenue? Did we create more revenue? And those are metrics that we try to live by on our dashboard, so that we can say if we are effective at what we're doing with businesses and nonprofits or not. So hopefully, man, that answers the
Thank
question,
you.
sir.
No, that answered it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for taking time out this evening to speak to our class. Are there any questions, class? If not, Harrison, would you mind putting your information? No, I give the class your information, and then we will, and then I'll share it. Send me the presentation one more time, and I'll send it to the class as well. I will include this in our week 3 video class. As I stated earlier, I will still send you week 2 video as we edit. They will listen to Shalon Clark Thomas. Melissa Sandoval said, thank you for speaking to us, Harrison. So, and then we have a couple of kudos from other presenters. You can see that, you can see it in your in the chat box. But thank you, Mr. Blair, for all that you do, and continue to advocate for businesses in the city.
Professor Houston, thank you so much. And to this class, thank y'all for letting me share our perspective. If there's anything we can do to help your business, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're trying to grow a business and it's going to impact Dallas, then we want to be a part of that story, even if it's a small part. So I'm honored. Thank you so much.
Perfect, perfect. Well, class, that concludes our class today. Unless there are any other questions, comments, or concerns, please have a great rest of the week. I will catch up again on Canvas messages, and I'll be grading your week 2 quizzes. Thank you all very much. Y'all have a great evening.